Hello everyone and welcome back to another Minecraft update video. There is no new snapshot today. We are in 18W50A, which came out last week. The reason that we are doing this video is because there are some things that I've noticed I've missed from one snapshot to the next during the development of 1.14, and since there was no snapshot today and it's a Wednesday, I thought I would make an update video anyway covering those things that I have missed. And we start off today's video in a very interesting village. Look at this animal pen and how many horses and cows are inside of it. I am not sure if that is normal, but that seems a little bit excessive to me. And this village is actually rather interesting. If you would like to know the seed and coordinates, there is a link to a tweet in the description box down below. This is a unique village just because of how crazy it is, especially when we go over into this direction. I mean, we've got some floating paths and odd terrain, but then the path goes under and into a cave. And then there is like another floor with a couple of buildings, and then there's this bit up here, and then there's another cave with a path under it, and then there's even more buildings up the top here. It is fascinating. If you want to explore it for yourself, that tweet is in the description box. So let's get this started. First of all, you can't always trust everything that you read. I read a comment that stated that the bell sound was the same one as the note block. Turns out that the bell sound actually has one linked to the same block, so we know this is the correct sound. Let's give it a listen. And there you go, that's the sound that the bell is going to make when it gets rung. Now, talking of reading things, I've also been informed that apparently when a raid is under place, the villagers will come out here and use the bell. So I'm going to give myself the bad omen effect. We're going to start a raid and find out if that is true or not. Okay, the raid has begun. We're putting villagers next to the bell, and maybe we have to wait a moment. Wow, they move very fast when there is a raid, and none of them rung the bell, so someone's been telling me porkies. There is something else I failed to mention in my videos. You can't trade when there is a raid happening, so once the raid is underway, you'll no longer be able to trade. Speaking of villagers, it turns out I actually made a rather large mistake in the last snapshot video. You see, I summoned in all of these villagers with no AI so that they could all face forward and we could check out the details of the skins without them moving around. Well, it turns out that the no AI is also going to affect their trades as well. It stops them from being able to refresh their trades, meaning the ones that I investigated always got locked out, and I thought this was part of a new trading system. Turns out it's actually the same trading system and it is subject to change. We'll get into the details of that in just a little bit. I want to bring your attention to something though. On the belt of each of these villages you'll see this little iron rung right here. All of them have them except the mason, which is the villager that has no trades. Also the nitwit even has it. Let's click on the nitwit. Yes, you can't trade with the nitwit, but it has that on its belt. So these are level 1 villagers, and over here we have level 3 villagers. And notice how on the belt they now have a golden buckle. Now when we open these up, they have different trades from the lower level ones, but that's because they have the no AI tag. It turns out it's all actually the same. So let's summon in a villager. What type do we have? We have a shepherd. So let's do a trade with the shepherd. First of all, look at its belt right there. We're going to do this trade, and then it will potentially refresh its trade and give off some particle effects. Now every time it does that, it will level up. So now it is a level 2 villager and it has this little bronze buckle on its belt. The shepherd has now unlocked all of its walls, so this is going to be nice and simple. We'll take one at a time and we should get a successful refreshing of the trades. This guy has now gone to level 3, so he's got the golden buckle on his belt just like all the villagers over there. I've done yet another trade, and there you go, the particle effects, and the buckle has turned to emerald. And another successful trade, another refresh, and now it is a top level villager at level 5. So if I do any more trades, this won't change anymore. So we have the particle effects of a successful trade, but you can see the villager is still level 5. So after all of that, it turns out that trading is basically the same as it was before this snapshot, and I have this tweet between Doc M and Lady Agnes. Lady Agnes says, trades are not intended to be the way they are in the latest snapshot. We will update trading though, but not like this. Now 2 words we use there, trades and trading. Trades are the things inside of this UI, and trading, I guess you could say, is the UI itself. So which of those is going to change? I'm not sure. I would interpret that message as meaning all of the trades are going to change. So the look of villagers have changed, and inside the Minecraft game itself I found these files which probably don't look too interesting at the moment, and don't worry, what we're going to do is render them in this program. So here is the traditional villager skin, and one of the things you'll probably not notice because of the drastic change is that the texture of the villager's head itself has changed with the texture update. So bam, there it is, an almost naked villager. This guy is hanging out in his bedtime shorts and vest. And this is actually the underskin of the villager. And as I said, if you look at the head here, if we swap between the two, you'll notice that the texture is quite different. So now the villager skins are actually layered, and there are 3 or 4 different components of this. This is the base layer that every single villager has, and then on top of them goes the biome type. Now when we render this out, as you can see, parts of the villager is missing because it would actually be that part that is below it. So the desert villagers will then have this skin thrown on top. The jungle will get this right here, and I believe parts of this aren't rendering because of the 3D shapes of them. So the jungle villagers have the leaf hat, but I don't think this program can support rendering that. So as we flick through here, you'll see that there are, various different components of the skin that get layered on top of the original skin right here for the different biome that you're in. Now there's also a little bit of the skin near the belt where the level gets placed down, and then there is another level where you have the profession. So this is the armorer, for example, and again I'm not sure if this is fully rendering properly. The butcher has his butcher's apron, the cartographer has these little things attached, the cleric has these robes, and then the farmer only has a belt here, and I believe it's unable to render that 3D farmer's hat. So this is the way that the villager skins work now. They're actually split up into individual texture files. So that's the base villager, then you have the biomes, you have the professions, and there are also some textures for the little jewels that go on the belt. So all of this stuff can actually be customized with a resource pack. I found out about this next change from my fellow hermit, Cubfan, and when I saw it in his video I thought it might have been a bug, but after investigating this I've realised that it's actually a feature change. So vines, we can walk through them and we can climb up them, but you need a block behind a vine to climb up and down it. That is no longer so in these snapshots, but there are 2 ways to climb vines. You can press upwards or you can press spacebar, and that will climb you up the vine. This is the same as with the ladder, so I'm holding down forward, now I'm pressing spacebar, and both of those can be used to go up. If we hold down forward going through the vines, we just walk straight through them like this. But if we were to press spacebar, we then go upwards, and I think that is a really nice change right here. This will no doubt be useful every now and then. I have investigated it a little bit further than that though. If you press F3 and B, you need your hitbox to be colliding with that of the vine block, but only on the side of the block that it is placed upon. If you're on the opposite side, you can see we kind of go inside of the vines here a little bit. If I hold down spacebar here, it doesn't work. We have to be over on this side, and then we can go upwards. I very much welcome these changes to the vine blocks, but now we're up in the sky to demonstrate a property of the berry bush which I kind of missed when I was doing my video covering the new block that's been added recently. So let's fall down onto some berry bushes, and you'll see we don't take any fall damage whatsoever, and that's because of this slowing property that the bushes have. Now there was something else that I didn't mention in my video, which you can kind of see going on right here. These bushes are affected by random tick updates. Okay, and there you go. That's an example of it in action right there. We also have a death message for the berry bush. Go on, I'll move. Asuma was poked to death by a sweet berry bush. In the last video, I showed you the smoker and the blast furnace, and I talk about the group of items that they are able to smelt. And I should have actually given myself all the recipes, because then it would make them all visible inside of the blast furnace. There's actually a little bit more than you might expect. We know that this does ores, but it does any type of ore, so that includes coal ore and redstone ore as well, and nether quartz ore. But you can also smelt down armor as well. You can see there's an iron nugget and gold nugget, and these are actually from smelting down pieces of armor. So it does a little bit more than you might expect, and it is worth showing. Now the smoker does all the cooked food types as you would expect. It also does dried kelp, which is a food source. It's also a fuel source as well. So I was initially surprised to see that, but of course it makes sense. And speaking of recipes that we missed, I don't think I ever actually showed the recipe for the crossbow, so we can check it out right here. It's a little bit more expensive than a regular bow, and I think that's probably fair. So you probably know that the crossbow can shoot firework rockets, but I was unaware that the amount of firework stars that go into each of those rockets determines the amount of damage it does to the entity that it strikes. So you'll see that each one of these has increasingly more and more of these inside of it. So to craft them, you have your regular firework rocket like that, and then this adds a star. So I've done it with different amounts, and I wanted to investigate and just see how much damage each of these do. So I'm hanging out with some chums in survival mode, and I've got the bad omen effect. Just in case you were wondering, you can get rid of this using a bucket of milk. It is not an exception to any other type of effect. We also have witches here, and they no longer attack the player. They also don't attack villagers as well, and I had a feeling this might have something to do with them being part of the raids, yet they don't attack villagers. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. If I attack this witch, she should then come and attack me after she's drunk a health potion, right? Are you going to throw something at me now like you did before? Ow, there it is. But notice how the other witches are just fine. So it's sort of like zombie pigmen, right? You've got to make them aggressive first. However, she doesn't call in the other witches. She's also poisoned herself. Not very smart. The next thing I'd like to show you is cute and adorable. And it was a feature I believe was in one of the snapshots and then got removed. They just took damage from being crammed in the same space together, didn't they? These are some cute and adorable pandas. These are all with the weak gene, which means that they've got snotty noses. And when they sneeze, which they do, they had a chance of dropping a snowball. I believe this feature has now been removed. I remember one of the developers saying they didn't think it actually suited the game. I could be wrong, but I've had a lot of pandas in the world in a testing area for a while, and they've been sneezing and not a single slime ball has dropped. Also, when the adults sneeze, they all jump, but when the babies sneeze, they don't. So, just something I noticed. And we're going to wrap up this video in the Bedrock edition of the game, because there is a game rule that I found rather interesting that's been added over here and may come to the Java edition of the game. It's called do immediate respawn, which I believe means when you die, you'll be forced to respawn immediately. We could actually test this right now. So let's kill myself. And do you know what? I think I did a derp. I'm supposed to set that to true, right? And then do the kill Asuma. And yeah, look at that. Instantly respawned. Right. That would be a cool thing to have on Java for minigames and the like, right? I think so. Anyway, let's wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you know of any other stuff that I missed, please leave it in the comments down below, and I will cover it in a future Snapshot video when we actually have snapshots to talk about. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.